Welcome, everybody. This is a great day in the year. I think it's my favorite day in the year. Certainly, as far as the University of Arizona goes, it's a huge pleasure to have you all here in one place. I'm sorry we can't get everybody here, but you're all very smart and very busy. We understand. So thank you for making time to come take this hour to talk about what we're all trying to accomplish and why we're here. We do have some very significant list of VIPs in the room. So I want to take a moment to introduce them. We have Jeff Goldberg, who is the Dean of Engineering. Jeff Goldberg. We have Jeff Schatzberg, who is the Dean of Eller. We have Dean Ruiz from the College of Science, who's also the Executive Dean of College of Letters, Arts, and Science, and the Director of Biosphere 2. Lucky. And we have Dr. David Allen, who runs Tech Launch Arizona, newly formed unit at the university that's focused on getting innovation out of the halls of academia and onto the streets of our community. We have several of our endowed chairs here. We have Sin Chen from the Eller College. He is working for our country in Washington right now. He's on a year in Washington, and your work is just tremendous in adding capability and security to all of us, so thank you. Dr. Price Fishback, who's also from Eller. He's an economic historian and phenomenal teacher. And Dirk Mateer, speaking of phenomenal teachers, our endowed professor in the College of, in the Eller College, also in economics, and holds the Gerald Swanson Chair. And that's a chair that we endowed, but in honor of Dr. Swanson, who taught here for 40 years and received about every single teaching award there is and inspired many future economics education teachers, we chose to name that chair for him. We have Linda Powers, Dr. Linda Powers from the College of Engineering. She's amazing. She's very cross-disciplinary. Her degrees, I believe, are in physics and chemistry, but she's got a electrical and computer engineering appointment. She's over in Bio 5, working with the optics people. And, if you want to look at cutting-edge, innovative work, that's Linda. And then also, Dr. Ruiz is an endowed professor by the Brown Foundation. I noticed Steve Reff just walked in. I can't not introduce Steve. He's worked with our foundation for many years. He's written an online textbook in economics, and he himself is a product of inspiration delivered by Gerald Swanson. So, welcome, Steve. We also have several members of our Board of Trustees. Sean Kirkpatrick, who is the CEO of Research Corporation Technologies. This is a company aimed at taking innovation coming out of higher ed and research universities and turning it into business opportunity. We have John Carter, who is formerly headed up IBM here in Tucson. He was the first plant manager and worked at Burr Brown Corporation also. So we have my sister Mary Bernal and her husband Ray Bernal here, and their daughter Helen. And let's see, I did not see Jerry yet, but I think he may be joining us. And my husband, David Smallhouse, is here also. So we think that innovation and knowledge lead to productivity, better ways of doing things, more opportunities for individuals, and ultimately a higher standard of living and quality of life in both tangible and intangible ways. In a way, Burr Brown was born out of a U of A lab, and it was U of A engineers that in a large part contributed to the global competitiveness of Burr Brown and created the wealth that we are now trying to redeploy and invest. I guess it goes without saying we think you're the best and the brightest, but we think you're very aligned with us and what we're trying to accomplish. And one of the reasons we have this luncheon is so you can meet each other, because we've invested in you, we're proud of that, we're amazed at all your accomplishments, but we think you have much more to come. And you can help each other, and we may want to keep investing in you. So this is a good lunch, it's a good movie, it's good company, but it's important. And so I encourage you to have a good luncheon conversation, get to know your neighbors, and this is in large part to remind us what we're all trying to accomplish together. And it's the intersection of business and science and engineering and technology where things can really happen. Nobody can really go out and do this stuff on their own. And so that's why there's a diversity of people in this room. And we celebrate you all, and I think I've used up my 5 minutes. So let me now introduce our video, which many of you have seen, some of you have not seen. Oh, excuse me. We have John Paul Rosniak here, the president of the U of A Foundation as well. My dad, Thomas R. Brown, got the Technology Businessman of the Year award from the College of Management. And part of that ceremony is that you get up and you say a few words. And this, for those of you who've seen it, I think you'll agree it's not home movies. It's, it's okay, it's interesting. But it really tells in his own words what his story was, how Burr Brown came to be, and why it's significant. And I hope provides a little bit of inspiration to all of you. So as you enjoy lunch, we're going to run the film, and then we'll have a few words afterwards. So hope they cook your steak well.
So while everyone's eating, we've got a small program to run. We'll get a chance to honor the students. I'm Jeff Goldberg. I'm the Dean of Engineering. And this, like Sarah says, this is one of my best events in the entire year. This is right up there with graduation as far as I'm concerned. Every time I get a chance to see that video, I think how much I miss not getting a chance to talk with Tom more. And anybody that says you're always up against Ohm's Law, I mean, that's absolutely fundamental for me. One of the reasons we come here is to really thank the foundation, in particular thank Mary and Sarah for all the work and effort that they do. And I've been up here 5 times now to do this. And so since, thank goodness, no one remembers what speakers like this ever say, I could actually say the same thing every year if I wanted to, but I'm not going to do that. But we all know if we want to attract the best and the brightest faculty, the best faculty and the brightest students, it takes real resources to do that, and the money that the Brown Family Foundations support the College of Engineering and the Eller College of Management and the College of Science and general the whole University of Arizona is absolutely critical in that process. And what's exciting for me is not only is the money there, but there's this huge involvement. And I can't tell you how many times this past year I walk into a meeting or a dinner and Sarah is there or Mary is there representing something in the community relative to that. And in fact, just this week, Jim Badens and I were talking about entrepreneurship and how do we do a little bit more with engineering and entrepreneurship. And sure enough, sitting across the table from me was Sarah, and I said, I didn't realize you were going to be in my conference room today. So it's not just the money, it's really the ideas, it's the spirit, and that really comes through in the video, and I see you get all of that from your father. I wish I would have had a chance to know him a little bit better. And then the final piece is, it's really critical, and we think about this in engineering a lot, that you've got to put your personal goals behind the team goal. And what I've seen over the past couple of years and how the foundation has worked and the university has worked, I think the Brown Family Foundations have been an absolute example of trying to understand what is best for the Tucson and university community and not necessarily what is best for the individual players in that group. And that is such a difficult thing to do, and I applaud you every single day that you have the ability to put your own interests and your own needs behind the needs of the entire system. When we talk about the College of Engineering values and we talk about value 3, ethical decision making, and value 5 being the best partner, this is really what we were talking about when we do those kind of things, so thank you. Okay, let me get to the real business here. I got to introduce students. We bring in extremely strong undergraduates, typically national merit students with a little bit of extra money from the Brown Family Foundations. I think we've got 17, and I think 16 of them are here today. Right, Claudia? Okay. And one of them would be here, but Jacob Rockland, I'll announce him first. He's in Barcelona, Spain, studying abroad. We would bring him in with Skype if we had facility to do that here, if we could just get food through the TV somehow. So let's have each of the students stand up. We'll applaud at the end. So let's have Samuel Salea stand up, please. Thank you. Paul, I'm going to get the Coulier. Catalina Fernandez-Moore, one of my students from last year. Adriana Maciera-Mitchell. Thank you. Kyle Norland. Oh, there we go. Haley Odom. Thank you, Haley. Have our speaker coming up, Derek Paris. Jessica Marie Riley. Great. Troy Schmidt. Fantastic. Adriana Stone. Devonye Tankersley. Evan Westman. Great. Zach Westman. Amazing. Gene Wilkening as our speaker from last year, I think. 2 years ago. Wow, I can't. I'm getting older. The students are getting younger, it seems. Luke Wolford. Okay, so that's our group. Thank you. We also have one alumnus in attendance who was also a past speaker at this event. And it's actually a student who we've got a long relationship with, is a great friend. I used to play golf with his dad every weekend. And his dad is still the Rincon basketball coach, and so is he. Also works at Modular Mining. Chris Sutter, please. Definition of success, so great. Let me introduce our student speaker. So you can see you've been in a long line of pretty good speakers, buddy. Okay, so I'm going to introduce Derek Paris. Derek came to us from Tracy High in California. And again, it shows you the value of the resources. You've got all of a sudden an out-of-state student that we're going to bring here. It takes extra dollars to do that, and it's not always easy. National Hispanic Scholar, so that puts him, I think, the top 0.5% of high school graduates in California, actually. While in high school, he ran track. He was a tennis player as well. Incredible breadth. He did an Eagle Scout project at a senior citizen home where he took, David, you're not going to believe this, he took a golf hole and turned it into a bocce court. I can't believe that someone would do that. But he did it. He came to us. He's an honor student. He majors in electrical and computer engineering, second-year student, sophomore, works as an RA in residence life, which is pretty cool as well. My daughter did that. This last summer, he's been a lifeguard. Actually, last summer he was in New York City, worked on an advertising project. He went to Venice, Italy, international experience on an art perception project. I mean, people can only dream of doing this kind of stuff. Has a passion for healthy living and social justice. We picked this student because he's just not your typical engineering student. And this is exactly the kind of things when we think about entrepreneurship and innovation and creativity, this is exactly the kind of student that we're talking about. Derek, come on up here.
Hi, everybody. As we all know, we're here to celebrate the life of Thomas R. Brown and also to acknowledge the incredible generosity of the Brown Foundation. Most of us have been to one of these lunches before, and I think we can all agree that the food is always exceptional. Worth half the award for me. But in all seriousness, it's such an honor to be included in such an elite group of students and faculty. I grew up in a smallish city in Northern California, and I'll be the first to rave about California beaches and forests and the beauty, but I've never regretted my decision to come to Arizona. I love the sunshine, the school spirit, and scholarships like this really made it the most practical choice for me. And I'm so glad. I love it here more and more every day. Recently, I read a book written by Harvard law professor Elizabeth Warren, and it discussed the American middle class and how it's getting more and more difficult for them to sustain where they are compared to a generation ago. Generally speaking, it used to be that you just needed a high school diploma and you can get a modest job, live the whole white picket fence lifestyle. Nowadays, since maybe the 2000s, it's becoming more and more apparent that a degree is replacing a diploma as a career staple. The problem is college costs more than high school. And as a whole, Americans are living deeper in debt with less in their savings accounts. When I was growing up, around the years when I was growing up, 1 in 7 families with children filed for bankruptcy. And that's more people going broke than graduating from college. And that number shocked me when I found out. My dad used to always tell me that he would rob a bank, do whatever it took to get me through college. And as a kid, I believed him. But in all seriousness, my parents have done more than I ever could have imagined to get me to where I am today, the first in my family to go to college. And I'm forever grateful for everything they've done. They're the most selfless people I know. But also, I have someone else to thank who's invested in my college dream, and that's the Thomas R. Brown Foundation. I still remember the day when I told my mom I was awarded this scholarship, and she was tearing up. It was like the last weight had been lifted off her shoulders. This foundation has had a huge impact on my life since that day. Freshman year, the extra money allowed me to live in Arbol de la Vida, the luxurious honors dorm. But it also gave me a productive environment to grow up in. I made some of my deepest friends who were all academically oriented, which was a good thing because the high GPA requirement made sure that I tried my best in every single class. They say C's get degrees, but C's don't get you at lunch at the Arizona Inn. Really though, my favorite memories from the past year are also from the Thomas R. Brown Foundation, and that's when I went on a month-long study trip all over the world. It started out with 2 weeks in New York City. I experienced the sights and sounds. I listened to jazz in the park and ate $1 pizza every single day. I went to a Broadway show. I had a street performer flip over my head in Times Square. And I even got to stride through the Bronx after my Oakland A's beat the Yankees in their own stadium. I even got to assert my dominance over a taxi cab with a well-timed, "I'm walking here." And then after those 2 weeks, I hopped on a plane, went to Italy, which is a country where everything is beautiful. All the buildings, everywhere you look, all the scenery, all the people, everything's beautiful. And I spent about a week and a half in Venice, the city on the water. And I gotta say, after all that time, I still never got over how the water looks on the Grand Canal at night. And one of my most serene moments was watching a thunderstorm over the Grand Canal at night. It was just incredible. I spent a weekend in Paris, the city named after me, and I ate the escargot, and I actually got to bike around the city under the Eiffel Tower on the last day of the Tour de France, which was cool for me. In the last few days of my trip, I spent in southern Italy with my cousin who's down there working, and she took me out to a restaurant where she knew the head chef, and I had the best meal of my life. I haven't been able to put it into words to describe it, but I also haven't been able to shake my craving for mozzarella ever since I've left. I share these memories with you just so you know kind of a taste of the experiences that I have that are all due to Thomas R. Brown. And I say it seriously that I would not have gone on this trip, I would not have experienced all of this if it wasn't for this foundation supporting me financially. They've literally given me the world, or at least New York and some of Europe. In the rest of my academic career, I hope to apply to Arizona Ambassadors next semester so I can have an impact on future students, leading tours and being part of welcome events. My senior year, I want to apply for the McGuire Entrepreneurial Program, which is actually something I found out about at last year's Luncheon. It was recommended to me by an alumnus, and it seems awesome, and I hope I can get in. But other than that, I'm excited to continue my journey through college with Thomas R. Brown on my side. And I hope all of us, as we leave this room, keep a little bit of Thomas R. Brown's ingenuity and ambition in all of our work and in our dreams. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Hello. So I'm Jeff Schatzberg. I'm the dean at the Eller College, and I've been to this now about 4 times, not the 5 that Jeff has, but this is my first time as dean, and so I'm honored to be able to speak to you all in this occasion. So I've seen the movie 4 times now, and just 2 things to say about it quickly. One is I'm an accounting professor. You probably don't know that, but I am. And so I steal the FISH inventory acronym and use it in class because I think it is particularly appropriate. The other thing, too, is while I was watching it this time, it came to my mind because yesterday I was at a research workshop we were having at Eller, and it was about facial recognition software that we've acquired. And it's really cool stuff, so I'm actually hoping to use it in my research. But I was thinking about, you could run a tape like that through and get impressions of Tom Brown and how he felt. And when I think of that, I bet it would come up something like happy, for sure, but kind of satisfied and proud, I think. And just like we are proud of him as well. I'm sure he was proud of himself, as he should be. But it just made me think of that. It's just a comfortable video, I think, when you watch it. And of course, the points are tremendous. So I know I'm going to introduce a couple students in a moment as well. But 2 quick points I want to make. And before that, prefacing with to thank the Board of Trustees and the foundations and Mary and Sarah and everyone involved for all that you do. And you know, it's such a critical mission to be able to push on this entrepreneurship and innovation and marrying that up with science and engineering. And that's such an important aspect of society that we need. And so I really applaud you for the mission of that and for your support, tremendous support of that, which we really do need. To hit home on that, though, this is one of my points I wanted to make, again, because things are happening in my life. I'm reading this book. I don't know if any of you have read it or heard of it. It's called The King of Hearts. Has anybody ever read The King of Hearts? This book is tremendous. It's about the father of open heart surgery and how a man named Walt Lillehei and his team up at the University of Minnesota basically were the ones who invented the heart-lung machine, which then permitted us to do open heart surgery. They also were involved in doing the pacemaker and getting things started in this way. You know, huge life change. In fact, for me, this is probably why the book resonates so well. Is 10 years ago, I had open heart surgery, and now I have a pacemaker. And without Walt, I wouldn't be here talking to you. And you know, that's what we need, is that kind of innovation, that kind of entrepreneurship, that kind of understanding of science and technology to be able to move forward on those fronts, just like Tom Brown did as well. So, I don't know, this really did resonate with me, this purpose. So again, thanks to the board for that. The second point I want to bring up real quickly is, again, another anecdote. I was talking to my counterpart at the Haas School at Berkeley. His name is Rich Lyons. He's the dean there. And we were grousing about budgets, and I'm talking about RCM and how we're under that, and he's talking about his compliment that he has at Berkeley, and strategizing about, boy, given those incentives, what do we want to do, and how can we maximize, and maybe even think about altering our mission. And then when we talked for a little further, we both came to the realization, you know what, it's not about that. What it really is what's your mission, and then that should be what's driving the incentives, right? And so, again, that's what we need to do. And I think this aspect, this purpose that you've put forward is exactly what is part of Eller and what is part of engineering and science and the U of A. And it really gave me a different perspective thinking about that, to say the mission is what's then driving the incentives in this regard. So, let me now introduce the students. We have an incredible set. Similar to what we had in engineering for sure. We're blessed with not only the support that you give on this initiative, but also the faculty that you support, and particularly with our chaired professorships that can deliver on this initiative. And then, of course, the outstanding students that you support. So we have three different groups. One is coming from the entrepreneurship program. We have 2 undergrads who are in that category. One who's going to speak to us in a minute as well. So again, like with Jeff, maybe we can have each of you just stand and then we can applaud at the end. So for the 2 in McGuire in the entrepreneurship program, one is Nicholas Lyons, and the other is Brian Herrera, who will be speaking to you in just a couple minutes. A second category is PhD students that we have in the economics department that are supported. So they're called economics fellows. In that one, we have Catherine Boglitz. Oh, there's Catherine. Maxwell Rosenthal. And Anatoly Kokaza. All right, congratulations. And finally, a third group is Eller MBA scholars, all first years. Actually, I'm hoping to be able to teach them this spring if I can get this dean position figured out. But all outstanding students in that program. I think they're all here. I know they were taking an exam, so they had to hurry. I hope they didn't hurry too fast to get over here. But Emmanuel Anderson. Is Emmanuel here? Oh, they must still be finishing up. How about Sarah Crawford? Okay. Eric Sabarin. And Tyler Winters. All right, congratulations. Finally, let me introduce our student who's going to speak to you for just a couple minutes, who kind of personifies actually all of these students and their kind of backgrounds and their level of success and future potential. It's Brian Herrera. Brian is a senior studying optical sciences and engineering, focusing in optoelectronics. He has performed laser research for the Air Force and developed wearable biometric sensors at the Johns Hopkins Biophotonics Lab. The last 2 summers, he has worked as an undergraduate imaging system engineer at Draper Laboratories in Cambridge, Massachusetts, actively participating in a range of engineering projects in addition to strategic business development. Currently, he is leading a senior engineering capstone team alongside a McGuire entrepreneurship team to develop and commercialize a novel virtual reality camera. He enjoys playing basketball, discussing big and small ideas, and is passionate about using technology to promote global connectivity. So to use a phrase from my younger daughter, OMG. That's quite impressive. So Brian, if you would please come up.
So thank you for the kind introduction, Dean Schatzberg, and thank you to everyone involved with the Thomas Brown Foundation. This truly means a lot to a whole lot of people, and it really has truly lasting impact in the community and beyond. So it's quite an honor to have this opportunity to share a little about myself and talk about how the Thomas Brown Foundation has really helped me pursue my passions of reimagining the relationship between the way humans interact with technology. So I was born and raised in quiet Albuquerque, New Mexico. Over there, it's just like Tucson, so I was used to the high desert landscape, so come to Arizona was a pretty easy decision for myself. But anybody who knows about the heated basketball rivalry in the 1990s between Arizona and New Mexico, it was kind of hard for my family to see me come here, but they soon enough forgave me, so here I am. I actually enrolled initially when I came to U of A as a pre-business student, but the courses were too hard, so I made the switch to optical sciences. And I haven't looked back. It's brought me all over the country. I've done some really interesting work with some really incredible people. And there's really a lot to be learned from anybody, no matter where they are, whether they're a homeless person sitting on the bus stop in Cambridge, Massachusetts, who studied physics at MIT in the 50s, or whether it's foreign students that come to our country to really make an impact in the scientific community. And these are people that I've been exposed to all over the country, and they've really kind of inspired me to move forward and be on the cutting edge of technology. But my interest that originally drew me towards the business school, that never really faded away. And now with the help of the Thomas Brown Foundation Scholarship, I'm really in a good position to express my curious and scientific spirit along with my inventive and enterprising attitude. And I want to do this by leveraging futuristic technology to define a new era of worldwide personal connectivity. To do this, I'm using the generous scholarship from the foundation to sponsor my own senior engineering design group. And we're pairing this with my McGuire Entrepreneurship Group, and we're looking to bring forward this product that the engineering team is developing in a way it's bringing together 7 cross-disciplinary engineering students and 3 business students. And we're really excited because we're innovating in the exciting and reinvigorated virtual reality industry. Virtual reality is really nothing new. People have been experimenting with it since the 80s, but it hasn't really caught traction. They call the state it's in now the trough of enlightenment. And so, groups all over the country and all over the world are kind of figuring out what's going to emerge in the space. And what's kind of exciting is that nobody really knows what's going to emerge, and which makes me feel confident that, why not what I'm working on? So currently the primary focus in the space is based around video games, but which is funny that I'm trying to innovate in this space because the rule in my household was no video games, and if the sun was up, I had to be outside or reading. So it's kind of interesting that I'm kind of veering into this. But virtual reality, spanning beyond gaming, I think it can really produce a tremendous amount of opportunity to really revolutionize everything from education, athletic training, entertainment, and it really helps improve empathy and understanding of the lives of people all over the world. Millions of dollars are being invested into virtual reality by venture capital firms, while big tech companies are executing upon multi-billion-dollar acquisitions in preparation for virtual reality to become an extension of your day-to-day consumer technology. And I believe that there's no better time than right now to enter this emerging industry. And so thanks to the support of the College of Engineering and the McGuire Center for Entrepreneurship and the Thomas Brown Foundation, I'm poised to lead this group of students committed to fulfill this vision of a widely accessible virtual reality camera and platform designed to allow any person on Earth to see the world through somebody else's eyes. I really do have huge plans for this technology, and I'm confident that this could be something that serves as a key enabler for widespread adoption of this kind of seemingly niche and foreign industry. Honestly, I could talk about this all day, so don't even get me started. I can tell you all the ins and outs of why I think what I'm working on is really set to help serve a whole lot of industries, but I don't think I could limit myself to 5 minutes of that. So if you want to discuss, debate, offer any encouragement, I will literally talk about this all day with anybody. But inspired by Thomas Brown and everything that he did, and I see the effects of what he did in my work with, because I work in optics, and optics, it's a big focus in optics is semiconductors. And so I really understand the grasp of what Thomas Brown was able to create and how that really enabled everything that we can experience with technology today. And I like to believe that, sometimes, because the company I work for in Boston, it was formed out of MIT in the 60s. So I like to imagine that when I, go hang out on MIT's campus, during lunch, that maybe I sat on the same bench as Thomas Brown did one day. So it's pretty exciting. And so just inspired by everything that he's done, and with the support that I feel from the university, because at first I didn't think I'd be able to do both the senior design and the McGuire program because the classes are offered at the same time. But with the support that I've felt through them, I really think that I feel fearless right now that I can be able to contribute to this emerging market and hopefully create a vibrant company that's going to bring jobs to Arizona. It's going to empower the university community, and I really want to kind of participate in the vibrant and continuing to grow Tucson high-tech community. And with such a phenomenal university faculty and with students by my side, I'm truly confident that we can change the world from right here in Tucson, Arizona. And I'm ever thankful for the foundation for helping me take those first steps. So thank you very much to everyone who came out to this today. This is really exciting, and I'm really looking forward to the future with this organization.
Good afternoon. I'm not Jeff. That just points out that the university has enough sort of in mind that you don't have to be Jeff to be a dean. I want to thank the Brown Foundation as well from the College of Science point of view for all that they do. I've been lucky enough to be in front of the board a couple of times to describe programs from the College of Science. And I can say without a doubt that the effort and the commitment of the Brown Foundation to do things right is extraordinary. And of course, what they're all about in the end is how to make a difference in the community. And I think that they spend an enormous amount of time thinking about that, not losing sort of the idea of what it's all about, because giving money away properly is very, very challenging. And I applaud the foundation for spending tons of time keeping in mind what the mission is and using all of you to fulfill that mission. So you should all remember what the mission is. A little bit about the College of Science, which I was asked to say here. The College of Science has been fortunate also to obtain funds from the Brown Foundation. And I think it's created an environment within the College of Science that fulfills what Brown is all about, and that is to maintain leadership, to be relevant, to be innovative, and to make great changes. Among those, I can give as an example of, many of you have been reading in the newspaper that we discovered water in Mars. It was an undergraduate student of the College of Science that actually did that. And that same environment that has created the sort of the workings within the College of Science to allow for those opportunities, not too long ago produced an undergraduate student in the Department of Astronomy and Physics that went off and got a Nobel Prize for his PhD, pointing out that the universe is actually expanding at an accelerated rate, so that there's a thing called black energy and black matter that nobody knows what the hell it is, but that is actually most of the universe. Those kinds of opportunities, the kind of environment that allows for that kind of connection with undergraduate students, is the kind of stuff that the Brown Family Foundation is trying to achieve, and that we're proud that we've been able to do a bit. So that's my thanks to the Brown Foundation, a little example of how it's impacted the College of Science. And now for all of you, I congratulate you for being honored by the Brown Foundation. Don't let this get to your head, though. And remember what the mission is, and it's all about being relevant and making a change in your community. All of you are special. The fact that you're in this room eating this steak makes you very special. I can pile a bunch of statistics about how many people get a college degree, not only in this country, and if you add the world, it's incredibly tiny. And how many do it in engineering and in science and in business? Tiny amounts. So you really are going to be the ones that are going to be changing the world in the future. in a world that the rate of change is so fast that actually to be relevant means running faster than anybody else. And the only way you can be innovative and relevant is if you recognize that the discipline that you came from may not have all the answers that you need. And you have to go abroad and beyond and be the connectors between science, engineering, and business. Congratulations to all of you, and thank you to the Brown Foundation.
It's always emotional at the end. Thank you all for your kind remarks and inspiring remarks. We know we're doing the right thing when we hear from people like you. By the way, we put you in the Wildcat, so everybody should get a copy of the Wildcat. There's a congratulatory message in there. Congratulations on your achievements. So. So I like quotes, and I have a little thing that comes every day, my business quote of the day. And the quote today was that you can never go wrong by investing in your community and the people in it. You're our community. Mankind's really our community. We expect great things out of this room besides what's going to affect Tucson. But thank you all for all that you do. And Joaquin asked me to mention another little pearl of wisdom I got the other day, that it's not about learning how to weather the storm. This is really for the students. It's not about learning how to weather the storm. It's about learning how to dance in the rain. So with that, I will say thank you for coming, and please join us in the side garden for side garden, right? Yes, for photographs, and we'll take some pictures and commemorate the occasion.